Welcome to Back on the Broomstick,
A modern witch's spoken word grimoire.
where two witchy friends from way back are reconnecting to their pagan roots after a long period of mundanity.
We're rewalking the path of the wise and trying out all the latest spells, rituals, and magical theory in today's witchcraft and pagan practices.
So grab your wand and your incense
Your cauldron and your crystals
and join us
as we get
back on the broomstick.
Hi, and welcome to Back on the Broomstick. On this episode, we'll be talking about a little bit of good news from our mailbox, a little bit of bad news in the form of religious discrimination, and to celebrate the season in historical Yuletide fashion, a Winter Solstice ghost story. I'm Layla.
I'm Chelle, and we got mail. I feel like Blue's Clues. We got
We
mail.
just got a letter.
Wonder who it's from.
So what did we get, Chelle, in our new P.O. box?
Now, first of all, I just want to put out there, for those who might have missed it, we are at, mailing-wise, P.O. Box 106, Salem, Massachusetts, 01970. Send us stuff. We like stuff. Send us a letter. Send us a card. I don't care. Just send us something. I like going and opening the box and finding stuff. Seriously.
And if you send us a Yule card, we will send one back to you.
Even if you send us a Yule card and it gets to us after Yule, we'll still send you one back.
We've gotten a little bit of mail, and we're so excited about it, we're going to have to share it with you guys.
So I want to talk real quick about what we got. And I want to start with, who am I starting with? Okay, Angela, we love you. Angela sent us a card, which I love cardinals, and it has cardinals on it.
Don't cardinals have some type of meaning for a
Okay.
spiritual meaning?
So here's the thing. They say if you see a cardinal, it is like the spirit of a loved one coming to visit.
Okay, so it's like your ancestors coming back, like one of your beloved dead coming to say hi.
Yeah, basically.
Nice.
But I think instead of being more like far back ancestors, it's more like people that you've known in this life who've passed on.
Right, like your recent dead, your beloved dead.
Right, right. Like, maybe your grandma or something. And when you see a cardinal, I guess it's that.
Like them saying hi.
It's funny because, there's the theme of our show today, right there. It is ghosties coming at Christmas time.
Well, before we get to the ghost stories, we want to get to the goodies. We're going to have a little bit of Santa sweet before we get to our Krampus scary.
With this card, I love these people. Angela says she looks forward to us every week. That just makes me smile. It
I
does.
love that you guys are amazing. We have a lot of fun doing this, and it's just awesome that you're all along for the ride with us.
So, Angela, thank you. I love the card. Awesome. And Georgia sounds like a cool place.
The next card, Shell showed me right away because the stamps on it are Wonder Woman. And yes, I am a nerd. I used to collect comic books, not necessarily Wonder Woman, although I love her.
The minute I saw this envelope, I was like, holy shit, I got to take pictures of the stamps and send them to Layla right now.
You know me so well. It's perfect. How badass. I love that. We need a little Wonder Woman energy right now.
Right?
And this has got both the modern Wonder Woman and the classic Wonder Woman. So how cool is that?
For any Gen Xers, I just want to say I had Wonder Woman underoos.
I think I did too.
I almost missed them. Just saying. Okay.
Seriously, if somebody made those in grown-up size right now,
I'd
I
wear
would
'em.
absolutely wear Wonder Woman underoos.
For real.
Be badass. Especially now, I'm getting into my cozy era. So I'm just wearing all the cozy things. We got the little electric fireplaces going. We're decorating for Yule. And, I'm just kind of getting into the whole winter vibe. It's snowy up here and you can't do anything else anyway. So
Oh,
but I've been
yeah.
trying to enjoy it. Anyway, this card that we got is from Alania. So Alania sent us this adorable snowman card that's full of birds all dressed for winter, which is absolutely the cutest. And thanked us for all that we do, which whenever you guys send us stuff like this, it just really makes our day. So we appreciate it. I'm so glad that you're uplifted and that you enjoy us, Alania. Thank you. This was a lot of fun to get. A very cute card. Thank you.
Now, I want to wrap up our little mailbox piece with our final card. I was so blown away by this.
Me too. Oh my gosh. I could not believe the time that went into this, the thought.
Now, this card was actually handmade, gorgeous, by the way. And a couple funny things about this card. I'm a weirdo. I mean, I think we've already established that like 80 episodes ago.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah, I look at people's handwriting. So for this particular person, I just want to say you are in like the top 1% of awesome handwriting. I just need to put that. Freaking phenomenal. Phenomenal. Anywho, handmade card, freaking gorgeous. Now, here's the funny thing. On this card, on the front, they made this gorgeous little picture and said, "Best wishes for a joyful Yule." And then they had some holly in a crescent moon.
Oh, it's
Gorgeous.
so cute. The holly and the little pine cone and the moon, and it just looks, the Yule is all written out. It's so pretty.
Now, when I looked at the front of this, I was like, oh, wow, what a cute pine cone. Never had a second thought. Then I opened it, and on the inside, it says, that is supposed to be a pine cone, not poop.
Oh no. Now all I see is that poop emoji.
For real. Like,
Oh,
I'm just saying,
it's still cute.
I would not have thought it was poop until you pointed it out. So that is like totally your bad.
That's on you. That's on you. I still think it's adorable. It just looks like the poop emoji is celebrating Yule.
But in my defense, I saw pine cone until you pointed it out. Anywho, so this card was from someone we'll call ES.
Thank you, ES.
Thank you. And I'm not going to read the whole thing, but this person is very grateful for us, and I just want to put out that we are very grateful for you.
Seriously. Thank you, E. You rock.
This card melted my heart in
Mhm.
a lot of different ways.
You all did. You all did. This was just amazing. All the letters that we got. Thank you guys.
The fact that people think about us, like seriously, I love that.
Whether we read your letter on air or not, we loved getting all of them. Thank you so, so much. We appreciate all of you. And if you'd like to send us a card or a letter for Yule or the solstice, there's still time. And don't forget, if you send us a Yule card, we'll send you one back. But go ahead and send us anything. We got those super cute cephalopod earrings
Right?
and I love those. They're so adorable. And those came from our Alaskan cat from Cat's Force of Nature Creations. Thank you, Cat. But yeah, if you want to send us something, we'll talk about it.
Now, Layla, can you just remind him real quick one more time? What is our new P.O. box address?
Send it to Back on the Broomstick, P.O. Box 106, Salem, Massachusetts 01970.
And I just love seeing stuff in the box.
Me too. How fun. Now we've had our sweet. Let's get to the not so sweet. Let's get to some scary things that have been in the news lately, Shell.
Man, I hate the news. Right now, nothing good is coming out of the news.
No, nothing good is. So I've kind of been avoiding it, but this got pointed out to me by some of our witchy friends because there's a couple cases of witch discrimination going on in the United States.
This pisses me off. I just need to put that out there first and foremost.
So the first one that happened is in Tulsa, Oklahoma. At the Tulsa City Council, there is sometimes an invocation given. In the past, it has usually been Christian. Recently, Krista Patrick, who is an outgoing council member, asked her high priestess, Amy Hardy McAdams, to come in and to give the invocation.
Now, I have a problem already.
What's that?
If you are going to exercise your freedom of religion and all that, but like, why did she do it at her last one when she was outgoing? Why didn't she try to do it when she, midterm? You know what I mean?
Yes, but before we jump to bad reasons, a good reason for doing it that way is exactly what happened, the backlash. Because she knew that it would not be accepted, and it was not. In fact, there have been several comments made, including by Governor Kevin Stitt. The Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt said, quote, Satan is trying to establish a foothold, but Oklahoma is going to be a shining city on the hill. Tulsa City Council needs to stand strong against actions like this, and Tulsans need to remember who allowed this at the ballot box.
Can we just start with, that's your God, not ours, buddy?
Right, exactly. And that's the point, Shell, is yes, maybe she should have tried this earlier, but he's not the only person to have called her a Satanist. Quite a few people in government are saying that this was a Satanistic speech, and we know that it isn't. So the fact that she did it on her last day, she still did it, knowing that it was going to get this kind of backlash.
They just make themselves look uneducated.
But they have a base, and those people are riled up and starting to
Right.
call this Satanism.
No, I heard that both of these women were even getting death threats.
That's ridiculous. In this day and age, the fact that witchcraft is still equated with Satanism is absolutely ridiculous. And interestingly, the high priestess, Amy Hardy McAdams, got the idea for this speech from one of our favorite pagans, Lara Tempest Sakroff. Lara has recently said a few things for these coming troubled times, and she's invoking Medusa. And she says, snakes up, tits out, which I think is an excellent slogan. But this invocation was to Medusa, to that protection, that justice figure. We actually have the speech, and I'll post the speech on our social media. But she invoked Medusa to bring justice.
And if you read the whole thing, it's quite fitting for the current times,
Sure.
just saying. But, I think that there are still a lot of places that are set in their ways and are hypocritical and do as I say, not as I do. And that puts people's safety at risk. It really does. And uneducated or not, they're putting people back in that broom closet, and that's not where we should be in 2024.
I agree. And I have reached out in this particular case to Governor Kevin Stitt, to Amy Hardy McAdams, and to Krista Patrick for comments, and I haven't heard back from any of them as of yet. Future Layla will pop in here if we do hear from them.
I just love the fact that you freaking reached out to the damn governor. Like,
Well, if he wants to call me a Satanist, bring it on.
and I just want to point out, we are not knocking folks who follow the Temple of Satan.
Satanists are some of my favorite activists. I just happen to not be one.
Actually, here in Salem, they have the headquarters of the Temple of Satan, and every time I drive by it, I'm like, look, there's Satan's house. Nice people. We're not knocking it, but we also aren't them either.
They give out free hugs.
They really do. They really do.
Seriously, though, for just a second, the Satanic Temple in Salem, Massachusetts is actually very cool. They were founded in 2013, and part of their mission is to stop, quote, the intrusion of Christian values on American politics. And I can definitely get behind that. So we do like the Satanic Temple.
But that doesn't mean that we are them.
That's right. The thing here is that not that they're calling us real Satanists. This guy is calling them the Christian version of Satanism. It's their own God that they just won't acknowledge. And I was willing to think that maybe it was just a one-off. And then I heard another story, another discrimination story.
Why? Why is this happening right now?
This one has to do with a Christmas parade in a town called Parkersburg in West Virginia. They have a parade every year, and you're allowed to submit a float. And the group called the Appalachian Pagan Ministry had a float all ready to go in the parade and were told last minute that they were not allowed because of their faith.
Now, first of all, that's illegal. Like that's illegal. And I'm not
Mhm.
saying that what happened in Tulsa isn't illegal, but like this is like red flag illegal.
Yeah, yeah. Well, at least in Tulsa, she was allowed to speak. They just called her names afterwards.
Right, right. But this is like blatantly illegal. Like
Yeah,
you can't do this because you are pagan. Like that is illegal.
it gets worse, Shell. I reached out to Donna.
I love that you just like got pissed off at all of this stuff and like just started emailing people about these things.
I am not going to be quiet anymore. I am no longer going to allow shit like this to pass. It just should not. So if I can amplify it in any way, I'm absolutely going to.
Solidarity is definitely the way to go. And for those who can kind of stand up and unite, here we
Yeah,
are. That's what we need to
absolutely.
do. And no disrespect to those who are not able to for a myriad of reasons, but for those who can, now's the time to be loud and proud.
So I reached out to Reverend Donna Donovan, who is the organizer for this, and she did get back to me.
Do tell.
She says that the application for the group's float was approved at the beginning of the week. The day before the parade, she gets a call from the parade volunteers, and they said that the mayor had decided to not accept their entry because they were pagan. And, quote, on your website, it states that you work with Satanists. And Donna said, yes, we do. We are a pan-pagan organization that works to facilitate the practice of those non-Abrahamic paths who are incarcerated, formerly incarcerated, and or in recovery from substance abuse.
Everybody deserves a second chance, asshole.
Exactly. So Reverend Donna said, because she apparently is taking no shit either, that she was going to make it very clear that the mayor was violating their civil rights. And she is 100% going to file a complaint with the DOJ Civil Rights Division. And they got back in touch with the mayor, even after telling him exactly what title and section of the law he would be in violation of. They called back and said, I'm so sorry, Donna. The mayor said absolutely not.
Now, I don't know if you've looked this guy up online, but I've looked up the Parkersburg, West Virginia mayor. I'm not surprised. And again, this goes back to lack of education and how he is not being prosecuted.
He should
It's
be.
just discrimination. It's literally religious discrimination.
It is a clear case of religious discrimination, and Donna knows the letter of the law, so she will be following up on this, and I will let you guys know what happens.
Go Donna, rock on. And we are proud of you and we appreciate you standing for all those who can't stand up for us.
And thank you for all that the Appalachian Pagan Ministry does. What a great group.
I know, right?
So there's our sweet and our sour for this episode.
Damn.
Well, hey,
Damn.
this is the modern Yule. This is winter solstice with pagans. We're not going to shy away from the bad. We're going to embrace both sides of the holiday.
Okay, let's get into some fun stuff though.
All right.
Now, we've talked in the past about ghost stories and Yule traditions,
Mhm.
and this is something I think that the Western world needs to embrace. We did talk on our last episode about how Yule is kind of almost just as thin veiled as Samhain, and ghosts go hand in hand with thin veil. Come on now.
Yeah, and there are several traditions that talk about, your dead come back around Samhain, and then they get escorted back to the other world, to the netherworld, to the Summerlands at this time of year. So this is when they're kind of like the last hurrah. They're going to say goodbye now.
Now, I don't know how this ever got lost because obviously I love this, but in Victorian times, this was like a huge, huge thing.
Yeah, exactly. They think the ghost telling tradition goes back to the Victorian era and possibly even further back. It is the middle of winter. It's dark, it's cold and creepy. So that goes hand in hand with telling ghost stories. But there's also the tradition of the beloved dead walking the land and one last time before they get carried off in the wild hunt. And the Victorian era is also when the spiritualism movement was really popular. So ghost stories, of course, were a huge part of that.
Now, even though people kind of have lost this tradition, there are hints of it still. And one of them is, what is the most favorite thing people go watch, like a theater production or whatnot?
Miracle on 34th Street, which
Absolutely
I
not.
can't stand. I've never seen that all the way through.
I haven't either. It's too depressing, to be honest.
um, a Muppet Christmas Carol
Muppet Christmas Carol. Come on now. I mean, it doesn't get better than the Muppet version,
is the
top
best
shelf.
version. Yeah.
But take a step back and think about,
Scrooged.
okay, yeah, that was
That
okay. Yeah.
was a good one, right?
Yeah, yeah.
All right, all right. But yeah, so anyway, yeah, A Christmas Carol.
Take a step back and look at it. That is a ghost story, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
it is.
Scrooge has the three ghosts, past,
Hmm.
present, and future. And, I kind of like that. And that's kind of really why I've always liked A Christmas Carol.
Hmm.
You kind of end the year with this is what you done. This is where you're at. And if you don't get your shit together, this is where you're headed.
Kind of like how we said that's probably why Krampus and figures like that are getting to be more popular.
Right. On the new year, everybody's like, oh, I'm going to start anew. All my resolutions that I'm never going to do. You have that sense of starting over on the new year.
Hmm.
So, Yule time is really a good time to reflect. And sometimes your ghosts come back to haunt you figuratively and literally.
Isn't there that Christmas carol that's the line goes, "There'll be scary ghost stories and tales of the glories of Christmases long, long ago."
It's the most wonderful time of the year. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, that literally says there'll be scary ghost stories.
Yeah, but people like kind of almost miss that when they're singing the song. But
Yeah.
it really was kind of a cornerstone of this time of year.
We were talking about before we started recording that, I'm trying to get more in touch with this season. I've spent quite a few years in California, in Southern California. So I've been out of touch with the natural seasons that I grew up with.
The cold ass Northeast,
The
say it.
cold, that's right. Now that I'm on a mountaintop, a literal mountaintop in Pennsylvania,
Hunker down.
I have a lot of snow. So I'm connecting with my land in ways that are a little different, and I'm trying to embrace the cold. But I'm going within a lot more, I guess is the point. I'm reading more, I'm journaling more. I could see where, it can get a little heavy.
Well, and also, it's getting darker. We haven't quite hit that, darkest night quite yet.
Sure.
It's kind of that, you're prone to go within. You're prone to kind of see into the shadows, the
Yeah.
shadows are there longer.
This is why we have lots of lights and the trees, why you have a tree in your bathroom. One of our listeners said she had 3 trees in her bathroom, Shell.
I
Three
love it.
trees.
I love it. My people, my people.
And that's why I kind of embrace all the lights and the decorations. And we just got our tree today. And how fun is that? To kind of really embrace that part of the season helps to bring you up out of those shadows. And, I can see where telling a ghost story could also do that. Like those are fun scares. Those are scares that you can kind of feel good and safe afterwards, right?
Yeah, I mean it's kind of like that story of Scrooge and the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's scary to kind of see where you've been, where you're at, and where you're going. Just like a tarot reading, nothing is set in stone, and you have the ability to kind of change things or get things on track if that's what's needed. So, they almost kind of play into the ghost stories, help that wheel turn to the next notch.
And we also talked about in our last episode that this can be a good time to do some letter writing. Write a letter to your recent dead, people that that have passed in the last year. Maybe burn it in a cauldron or keep it in a journal. But this is a good time to write those letters in ritual space to them. Maybe when you see a cardinal, you can send a message to them with that cardinal.
I love that. Now, you have a ghost story.
I do have a ghost story. I actually reached out to a couple friends because you know that I love a lady in white ghost story.
You and your grand lady in white.
That's my absolute favorite ghosty folktale. And I vaguely remembered that one of my college friends from way, way back, hi Lindsay, had said something about a Christmassy one. So I got in touch with her, and indeed, I have a lady in white Christmas ghost story for
Oh Lord, here we go.
you.
Let me guess. Let me guess. She was in white and on the side of a highway.
Yes. How did you know?
Oh my God, that's awesome because I didn't know.
You must be psychic. No, all the lady in white ghost stories are all pretty much the same. This is a folktale that usually has a kernel of truth, a tragedy that happened, but every single one goes very similarly. A woman, usually either a bride to be or a recent bride or a woman going to meet a man, meets a tragic end. Then her ghost keeps coming back, trying to get to a certain place and scares everybody. But the ghost stories usually do have a kernel of truth to them. Not always, but sometimes,
Now, how does this relate to this time of year?
because it happened this time of year. So let me
Uh,
tell you, okay, so let me tell you the whole story. Now, I'm going to leave it to you guys. I could not find online any information about this particular lady in white folktale. So if anyone is from the Ashfield area of Massachusetts, please let me know if this is something that you have heard of before. And Lindsay, while she is a fabulous storyteller and an amazing repository of folk knowledge and ghosty tales, has been known on occasion to embellish them. So she's not exactly a reliable narrator. I'm sorry, Linz, but it's true. I love you. So we'll see. You guys let me know what you think.
wow, you're hardcore, man.
All right, you ready, Shell?
I'm ready.
All right, you comfy, you cozy, got some tea?
I do.
All right, here we go. Okay, so this happened again in Massachusetts, in rural Massachusetts.
Now, is this far for me? Am I going to have to like find different ways to drive?
I don't know. While I'm telling a story, you look how far Ashfield is.
Okay.
So, Ashfield, this story supposedly has been told a lot in Ashfield. Apparently, this is a popular folk story that everyone tells all the time, particularly around the winter solstice, especially when it snows. And I'll tell you why. The details kind of change, like a lot of these stories do.
Hold on. This is actually near the New York border. Ha!
Okay. So, we could like meet there.
Right, right.
All right. So, maybe we'll have to plan a trip for that. All right, so this story begins on the winter solstice in the early 1800s. So there was a young woman, her name was supposedly Eleanor Gray. This name changed very little depending on the different tellings. So it's probably true. So this young Eleanor Gray was preparing to go to a grand annual party at a nearby manor on Ashfield Lake. Like a lot of these stories go, she was very kind and beautiful, but also very poor. And every year at this big estate, there was a huge winter solstice ball. And pretty much all the young people would go there. And that's where they would all hook up and meet their future spouses,
Nice,
right?
nice.
That'd be so romantic, right? It's like Bridgerton and winter solstice.
Right?
So Eleanor, of course, really wanted to go because she dreamed of finding a rich husband, right? So she prepared for years. She scrimped and saved. You know, she worked different jobs trying to save enough money to make a beautiful dress. And she and her mother sewed this gorgeous white silk dress that she was going to wear to the solstice ball. Now, rumor has it that Eleanor had not actually waited for the ball to find her one true love and had hooked up with not one, but two lucky gentlemen in town. She was involved with the blacksmith. Hot, right? Big arms, can't blame her.
Ooh, sweaty.
Right? She was also involved with one of the sons. I don't know if it was the eldest or not. Depending on the story, it was either the oldest son or the youngest son. But one of the sons of the very manor where this yearly ball was held. So rich, swanky dude, right? Now, rumor also has it she was pregnant and didn't know who the father was. And neither guy knew about the other, supposedly.
Yikes. Yikes.
So this winter solstice ball was very special to Eleanor because she had told one of the gentlemen that she was going to meet him at the ball and they would run away and be married.
Yeah, they all lie.
She had told the other guy she was going to meet him the morning after the ball when everyone was still sleeping and distracted and run away and get married.
So she was going to see if the first guy showed, and if he didn't, she'd fall back on the other.
Exactly.
I got you.
Nobody knows who was who, which guy she was going to leave with at the party, and which guy she had as backup the next morning. So the night of the winter solstice rolls around, and she dresses into this gorgeous white silk gown. And her parents don't want her to go because the weather is getting bad.
I get it. If you see on the map where it's at, I totally get it.
She knows that this is going to be her last night at home, but she's not telling her parents. So she's piling on everything she can find of value, all her jewelry. She's pinning ribbons in her hair and beautiful silver clips. And as she pins in the last white ribbon, the snow really starts to come down.
Uh-oh.
Father forbids her from going, and she leaves anyway.
Oh.
Yeah. There was a terrible argument. She storms out of the house. jumps into the carriage, and off she goes into the woods and to the bridge over the South River to get to the lake where the party was going to be. And that's where people think that tragedy struck.
What happened?
She never made it to the ball. So, of course, she never met guy number one or guy number two. Later the next morning, by now people are worried because she never came home either.
Where's the horse?
They go looking for her. Of course, they try to trace the route that she would have taken. And by the bridge, they find the horse and the cart. Nobody knows exactly what would have happened because there was nothing wrong with the bridge. It didn't look like she had gone off the bridge. There were no tracks that went down the road to the water. There were no footprints of any kind.
There's a UFO, I know it.
It was just the horse. The horse was lame, and there was blood on the seat of the carriage.
Was the horse lame before it left?
They don't think so. At least I didn't see anything about that. So they searched the area, and on the shore of the river, they found a large piece of white satin covered in blood, but no tracks around it and nothing disturbed by the water. There was no sign of her body in the water, under the bridge, or anywhere in the woods.
She was eaten, I know it.
Maybe.
Or aliens.
There were rumors flew, of course. They said that one of the boyfriends or the other boyfriend had found out about the other one.
Killed her.
Right, confronted her on the bridge and killed her. Or, maybe it was a highwayman. Maybe she got cold feet. Nobody knows what happened. Maybe it was aliens.
Maybe she went into labor and tried to run and hide and froze to death.
As far as I know, she wasn't noticeably pregnant yet. So I don't think that, but maybe it could have been a miscarriage, right?
Yeah.
And maybe she went towards the water. Maybe. But all I know is they never found her body. But very quickly after that,
She was on the bridge, wasn't she?
the people started seeing her. Every time it would snow, they'd see her walking across the bridge. But as soon as they would get to her, she'd be gone. People that didn't know about it when it would snow would talk about seeing this pale woman in a white gown, bloodied, but as soon as they would stop to offer her a ride, she'd be gone.
Oh my God, I want to go look. It's only like 2 hours away from here.
Sometimes they would say she'd climb up into the carriage, and then when they would get across the bridge, she would have disappeared. And typical, sometimes there was water or ice left on the seat, which is a common trope in these white lady stories. Now, there's a few more things. So the first few people that would see her ghost obviously thought it was her, only to have it disappear when they would get close to her. Now, sometimes people would find themselves, after they would chase after her, they'd find themselves at the bank of the river without realizing that was the direction they were going in, almost like the ghost was trying to lead them to the river.
Oh.
And it's thought that at least 3 drownings that happened in the decades after, right around the winter solstice, that they're pretty sure could be attributed to the lady in white.
Like them trying to chase after her and then falling in the water?
Right. They obviously don't know for sure, but because these drownings happened on or near the winter solstice during a snowstorm, and because of word of mouth comments of other people saying that they had been chasing this woman during a snowstorm and ended up at the river without realizing that was the direction they were going in. So they kind of think maybe those drownings are attributable to her.
Oh, yeah.
It kind of went away for a little while until a salesman in the 1970s was driving through the woods along the road during a blizzard on the winter solstice. And he saw a woman on the side of the road walking in a white dress, and her hair was wild around her head. And he said that something about the way she was moving kind of freaked him out. So he really wasn't going to stop, even though it was a woman in a dress in a fucking snowstorm. But he went by her very slowly because the roads were slippery, and he looked over to her, and she turned to look at him, and he said her face was, quote, a pale, lifeless mask, and her eyes were solid black and glinted like shards of ice.
Oh my God.
He said she was bloodied down the front, and he just freaked out, and without even realizing it, he just floored it and was gone. When he looked back, nothing. Nobody was in his rear view.
We really need to go there.
Another one said that a farmer's son, probably in the late 70s, early 80s, picked up a hitchhiker along the road during a snowstorm on
The winter solstice.
You guessed it. And he gave her his coat because she was shivering badly. She actually got in the car, but she didn't talk. He said she smiled and he just kind of paid attention to the road because it was really slippery and snowing really, really badly. Then he get across the bridge and he was going to let her out. And he looked over to where she was sitting and the seat was empty.
Where was his coat?
Aha, no coat. There was no coat there. But when he got home, his coat was folded on the front porch covered in ice.
No shit.
No shit.
Now, I looked up this town and we're talking a population as of 2020 of under 2,000. So, like, this ain't like no big ass town.
No, I guess not. So, from what I understand, that the bridge is no longer there, but there is a modern road that goes near where the bridge was. And on the banks of the river,
Well, I'll find it. Don't worry.
supposedly, it shouldn't be too hard to find because supposedly, just off the road before you get to the river, where this bridge was, the local people have built like maybe a little shrine. They put white ribbons and little things there. Sometimes they'll go on the winter solstice and make offerings to the White Lady of South River Bridge.
God, I love it. I love it.
Supposedly, my friend stayed there at some point and was there during the winter. So here's her story. She says, I saw her once and I swear I'll never drive on that road again. So it happened on the night of the winter solstice. She had been at a
Wait,
party.
but didn't you say that the bridge was no longer there? So how did your friend ride on it?
The road next to it, the road that goes next to
Oh,
it is where
okay.
people see her now, like not necessarily across the bridge. That bridge is gone. There's another bridge across the river, from what I understand. But as
Okay.
far as I know, the road goes by where the bridge was and the
Okay.
river, and that's where she walks.
Okay.
She said she'd been at a Yule party with some friends. And because the snowstorm was getting worse, she decided to take a shortcut home and go that road along the river. And the snow started coming down really fast, and she was getting like tunnel vision, when it comes down really fast.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And she said as she rounded the bend near where the old South River Bridge was, that's when she saw the woman standing on the side of the road in her headlights. Pale figure, long white gown, crazy hair billowing in the wind. Her first thought was that it was just a woman who had somehow maybe left a party and gotten stranded. And she thought that her dress was really inappropriate for the weather, obviously. But she says there was something weird about the way she moved, which is also what someone else had said. And so, of course, Lindsay decided she'd give her a ride because, she's a girl's girl. And she says every hair on her body was standing on end. But she was like, even though this feels weird as fuck, I cannot leave this woman on the side of the road in nothing but a
Right.
dress. She said every psychic alarm bell was going off, but she slowed down anyways. And as she slowed down, she says this woman's head tilted towards her and their eyes met through the snow. And she said they were black, hollow pits. And the way that this woman looked at her made Lindsay's stomach lurch. Like she wasn't looking at her, but was looking through her. And all she could feel was just like a sense of loss and dread. And she said her warm car got icy. So she physically froze. And she said her car had kind of idled as she had been thinking about stopping to pick this woman up. And as she was deciding whether or not to come to a complete stop, this woman raised her hand. And it wasn't like she was saying hi, it was more like she was commanding her to stop. And Lindsay says the snow kind of muffled everything. And she said her ears started ringing. And she realized that her radio that had been playing Christmas music was completely silent. And she says when the woman took a step towards her, that's when she saw the blood. And that's it. She said her fight or flight kicked in. She hit the gas and she took off. She looked in the rear view and just like everyone else, nothing. No
All
one was
right.
there.
How reputable is this Lindsay girl?
Let me tell you the last bit because it's cool. Lindsay gets to her house, and much like the gentleman with the jacket, when she got out of her car, she saw on the passenger side a handprint in the frost on the glass, and there was just a little bit of blood dripping down from it.
Oh, fuck.
Dun dun dun.
Okay.
I'm going to call probably bullshit on the handprint, but everything else probably true.
Okay. Okay. I trust your judgment.
Good story though, right?
Oh my God, I still want to go there.
Right, me too, especially on the winter solstice. It's coming up. Maybe we should make a trip.
Seriously, it's not that far. It's like a half hour from Albany. Not to go left turn here, but all of the White Lady stories are similar and they're
Yeah,
they're
they're all tragic.
sad and they're all tragic. And unfortunately, there's one in every state.
they're pretty popular. That's very true. So there's my ghost story for your Yule night if you want to tell people of this folklore legend.
Now, people, what we really need to do is we need to bring back ghost storytelling for Yule. So join the crusade.
Honestly, if I'm sitting around making cinnamon stick and dried orange and cranberry decorations, some of those salt dough decorations, I want to tell ghost stories while I'm doing it. Roll up a big fat joint, get some good tea going, tell some ghost stories. Come on, doesn't that sound like a great night?
It really does. It
We
really
should get
does.
together and do that.
You know, let's do that. We'll get some
Let's
stories
do
going.
that.
I just want to remind everyone one more time, back on the broomstick, P.O. Box 106, Salem, Massachusetts 01970. Mail us shit. We love it.
And thank you to all of our benefactors. We really appreciate you guys. You are the reason we are still able to keep doing shows. And if you would like to become a benefactor, check out the link in the show description. We are starting to offer some exclusives to our benefactors starting this month. We have an exclusive episode for you guys that include some divinations for at least, I believe, two of the people in the group.
I think the most exciting part about it is like it's video. So we have video exclusive for you. Woohoo!
Woohoo! And we're going to increase those offerings to our benefactors going forward. We also have the meditation for the Year of the Dark Goddess. A lot of you, I'm so thrilled at the response this book has gotten, and a lot of you are doing the Year of the Dark Goddess along with us. So I have recorded the meditation. I kind of threw in a little my own stuff, so hopefully that'll be all right. But I've got the meditation. I'm going to put that on our Facebook group, which is back on the Broomstick podcast discussion group on Facebook. So if you would like to check that out, join that group. It's an awesome group of witches.
And check us out on all of the social media platforms at Back on the Broomstick.
We're going to have a lot of extra episodes coming up, so keep an eye out for some solariums and for our next episode on Friday. We will see you next week. Enjoy your holiday and get into that cozy inside winter solstice kind of vibe.
While you are still keeping it witchy.